and the fact that our top coaches come from being challengers, and that we're forgetting the importance of challenge groups because we get so caught up in the numbers, we get so caught up in Success Club, things like Elite, that shiny thing, but we're forgetting about the lives we're changing. And I always tell this, it's not over until you say it's over, because how many of us think about quitting? How many of us think that when it gets tough, we don't want to do this? But it's not over until you actually formally quit. So who was I before Beachbody? We talk about sharing your story. We talk about why this is so important. I have someone that, has a dark past. I had a very difficult childhood. I have a lot of things that took me a very long time to talk about, but I was a child who was abandoned by a biological parent. I was somebody that was physically abused by a parent. I'm fortunate that I had a family that got me out of that situation. I got a second chance at life. I'm a traveling therapist. I am a gypsy lifestyle. I am not somebody that wants to settle down. I love traveling. I love just kind of being a free spirit. I was a challenger before I was a coach. I did not want this business. I turned into a discount coach by default because I needed a discount on Shakeology. I have anxiety and I have suffered from depression several years, but especially this last year. Why join a challenge group? We talk about this so much. It has to be the bread and butter of your businesses, because I was borderline pre-diabetic. I was struggling because of a devastating loss. I was overweight, short of breath, and I had no energy. I lacked the motivation and I lacked strength as a human being in my day-to-day activities. So when you're doing your posts, speak to that person you were before Beachbody. We hear it time and time again, but we forget. I think about the person I am now, and I do my posts and I hear from people, I can't do what you do. I can't be strong like you. What they don't realize is that I was not this person 2.5 years ago. I was very close to giving up on everything. Life was getting too hard. Unfortunately, I was forced to see last year what hard truly means. My journey to being a coach is not your typical journey. So if you have those challengers or you have those discount coaches that kind of get annoying because they keep the discount for a really long time and you just think, oh, they're never going to build this business. If you are inspired by them, if you see something in them, please don't give up on them. I was that person. I have hit Success Club every single month in this business, not as like a pat on my back. I did this because I needed my Shakeology paid for because of a medical issue. I had a mass that almost took my life, and I did not have the money to buy Shakeology. So my coach explained to me if I had 3 people sign up and join with me, then I could have my Shakeology paid for. Guys, those people build businesses later on because they see the value in the products. That was me. I love the products. I participated in help run challenge groups every single month my first year as a coach, even though I wasn't a business builder. I was working 2 jobs 7 days a week as a therapist, drowning in my own life. I had no life. I had no clue what I truly wanted to do. I did all of this schooling for 6 years thinking that I would be a therapist for the rest of my life. But I didn't want to be, and I knew that in school too, which is the scary part. But I finished because I knew I loved what I was doing. It just wasn't my passion. I went diamond by default, and this is something I have learned very hard. I went diamond because everyone else was going diamond. I built an organization because that's what I was seeing other people do, but I didn't understand the importance of diamond to business builder until the second year as a coach. I've attended every Super Saturday, every event, because this community saved my life. If it wasn't for Team Beachbody, I would not be here right now, and I know that, and it's hard to say, but it's the fact that we have to remember that this community is what people sign up for. They sign up for us because they relate to who we are as a person, not the products we're selling. My journey to coaching is a lot of pain, and that's how I found my passion. I had moved 6 months south last year before Summit, and it's something I've dreamed about doing for a very long time. And while I was at Summit, I did not know this was happening. My grandfather had a massive stroke, and he was my best friend. I would go home every so many weeks from being a traveler just to spend time with him. And he actually ended up dying 2 weeks later from this stroke. And so in this business, my business was booming at the time. Things were thriving. I was actually starting to understand what being a business builder was and what the importance of being consistent in this business was. So here I am. I moved back to Baltimore. I've moved back to Maryland where I am now. And a month later, I got a phone call from the police, and they had told me that my father died. And I was very confused. I said, no, there's no way. My grandfather had just passed away. I think you're confused. And they explained to me that, no, that was my father. And so here I am in a month, and I lost the two most important people in my life. And I'm trying to build this business, and I'm trying to understand how you're supposed to be positive and how you're supposed to share your story. And I would tell Val, I have nothing to share. I don't want to do a workout, let alone talk about participating in a challenge group right now. I'm trying to understand life. And so I actually was very fortunate. I had a best friend who was battling cancer at the time, and she'd been battling for about 3 years at that point. And a month before she passed away from breast cancer, she had sat me down. And she said, you're miserable. She said, here you are, your entire life is falling apart, but there's one thing that makes you happy. And she said that when you're not home with us and your family, you're happiest when you're with Team Beachbody. You're happy when you're with these coach people you talk about. And she told me that, honestly, it was our last conversation we had, and it just kind of freaks me out. But she told me that it was my time to get a business page and to take this seriously. She told me that she believed in what I was doing as a coach, and she told me that this was my thing. And so it is the biggest motivating factor I have, that watching my entire life fall apart when my business was booming help me to understand that I do have a purpose here, and that even though I'm one of those people that I'm sure annoys our uplines, because I wasn't building, like, I wasn't a business builder. I wasn't in this for the business. I just wanted a discount. But by sharing my journey, sharing my story, and this passion for what Team Beachbody has done for me has built this foundation for me to now build a business. And again, through all of that, I never missed hitting Success Club, because I was told it was non-negotiable. I was told that if you don't hit Success Club, you don't have a business. So if the business is something that's motivating you to be a better person and to live your life in a more profound way, you don't miss that. And no matter what it took, I just, in the back of my head, even though everything was just falling apart, all I could think was that I still need this business. I still need this business. I have to hit Success Club. So my journey through coaching now has been a completely different shift and change. So if you're somebody that's gone through a lot, or you have a challenger going through a lot, or a coach who's fallen off the wagon, the things that I have done to continually build my business and to stay in the game, even through a difficult time, was I continually ran challenge groups. We hear it, we know it, but how often do our challenge groups get boring? They fall by the wayside. We copy and paste, we follow scripts, because it's just not something that we feel in our heart. Challenge groups for me was honestly an invitation and a gift. It enabled me to bring other people that I know are struggling, people that have come to me, the amount of people that have talked to me about grief and loss, because I'm open and openly sharing that, yes, I have anxiety and I am suffering from depression, but I'm doing it in a healthy way, and I'm not on medication, nothing against medication, but for me, it wasn't right. And helping other people get through grief in a more positive light has been something that my challenge groups and Sweating for the Soul has been able to establish. I found my mission and my passion for running challenge groups for what people need. I don't just run typical 30-day challenge groups anymore. There's something about stress, time management, anxiety, depression. I'm openly sharing and helping people with those things. So if your challenge groups are running stale, find that thing about you that you rock, that was your strength, that came from pain or that came from a difficult time, that used to be a weakness, and run your groups with that, because they will boom. People will resonate with you and they will stay with you longer. We talk about retention all the time, but they don't get that retention if we're not sharing that true passion. The thing about us that sets us apart from the other 400,000 coaches in this business. For 6 months of my business last year, I was forced to slow down. I tried to run at the pace I was running at Summit, and I had to just accept that hitting Success Club was good enough, that missing my goals that I've had for a year just had to be good enough. And understand that we have these vision boards and they're a wonderful thing. But when life changes, like the 12-week yearbook I'm reading right now, it's teaching me so much. You have to reorganize your goals to where you're at right now. It's okay to miss a goal. You just changed the date. So if you have coaches or yourself and you're trying to push for something, you don't think it's possible, you don't stop. You don't throw in the towel. You just keep pushing forward and you change the date. For me, I just had a conversation with my upline Val last week. I've had the same goals for a year, but for a year, I've had my life consistently change, and I'm just finding my footing a year later. So I had to understand that I was at rock bottom. I truly learned what low was. And at rock bottom, I found my mission, I found my strength. And unfortunately, I had to suffer from that to understand why I'm meant to be a coach, because I wanted to quit last year. It was hard. It was challenging. God was giving me a lot on my plate, but he was showing me that this life I was living before was not a life of fulfillment. So if you're somebody that's teetering or on the border, or if you have a coach who doesn't know if they can do this, but they're talking about how honestly exhausting their life is, their lack of fulfillment, their lack of passion, this is that thing. And I proudly speak about that. I am not afraid now to share that, because at rock bottom, I came out swinging. Now the comeback, as what people know me as on my team, that I'm passionate. I am somebody that honestly, for my love language is gift giving. I am somebody that just wants to raise other people up. And so in order for your coaches that haven't hit Success Club, or you, if you've missed a goal, how do you come back from that? Because if you see on our recognition Thursdays, it's very hard to see other people doing well when you are falling apart. You have to know that you made goals in the first place. You have to reestablish your why. For me, my why significantly changed. I now know that this business gives me life, and it's something that I can't give up. Honestly, I had to stop making excuses. So if you have those coaches that make excuses, Val got real with me. I love some serious real talk. She reminded me of my why and explained to me what would happen if I didn't hit those goals. She remembered that my brother and I, we do not have parents now. We're in our 20s. He relies on me. This business is enabling me to pay for the things that our father paid for him while he's still in school. This business is helping me to support our life. That is huge. So if you guys have kids, you know, I don't have kids. I never understood what it was like for somebody to rely on me. I truly do. And I know that now I have to stop making excuses. So if you have those coaches that keep missing Success Club, or they keep giving you excuses, they're busy, this and that, you have to bring it down in black and white for them. That's what Val did for me. And she honestly told me that this business is a mindset. It's a statement that has annoyed me this entire time being a coach. I will be honest. I never understood how being successful could be a mindset, but it truly is. If you don't have the foundation to have positive affirmations, to put your goals out into the world and back it with a strength and a passion and credibility, you will fall by the wayside. You will honestly start to think about quitting like I did. You will forget why you're in this business. Honestly, success truly is a mindset, and that's why personal development for me is number one in my day. Without it, I would not be the person I am today. It gives you the tools that you need in the moment you're at, because if you're struggling with something like myself, I'm struggling with goals. So I'm reading the 12-week year. It's rocking my world in the best possible way. It's making me understand the importance of every single day in this business. Our business doesn't stop because it's the weekend. Our business doesn't stop because life is getting tough. We know bills keep coming. Life keeps happening no matter if you need a pause button. There is no pause button in life. So I had to focus on mindset, and I had to learn to be present. How often as coaches are we doing our power hour and we're doing something else? Our power hour is going on, our phone is ringing, our messenger going off, our notifications are blowing up. I had to realize that to be successful and to utilize the small amount of time I have, I had to be present in the moment. So I've learned, and if you have coaches that aren't hitting Success Club or they're struggling, tell them, break down their power hour for them and help them to establish what they should be doing. They need to turn off their phone. I had to learn to accept that. I developed a paranoia about not having my phone on me because every time the phone rang, something was going wrong last year. So I developed this fear if I didn't have my phone on me that I would miss something or something would go wrong. I had to learn to bring it down a notch and turn off my phone and focus. So be present. If you're checking in your challenge groups, don't be doing anything else. I always tell my coaches that whatever you're doing, set a timer. There's a timer app that's awesome. And I set a timer when I'm done and that timer goes off. If I'm not finished, those things go back on my to-do list and I keep moving forward. I cannot get caught up in things. There's not enough time in the day. But if we are actionable, if we are focused and we're present, we can be successful regardless of what is going on. I attended my second summit this year, and I attended leadership this year for my team. And honestly, it was one of the most empowering things for me. Kim Carver, who is like the coach whisperer, we call him on our team, he sat us down in a room and he asked us to express our biggest strength and our biggest weakness. And everyone said things. How many times do you guys say recruiting coaches is the weakness of mine? Hitting Success Club is the weakness of mine. Motivating coaches is a weakness of mine. I told him my weakness is me. My biggest weakness is myself. I am super self-limiting. I am a perfectionist. If goals are supposed to be met in a certain amount of time and I don't do that, that brings me down. And he said he was, one, impressed with my self-awareness, but two, helped me to realize that if you don't have a strong mindset, if you don't have a deep belief in the products, if you don't do the things we tell our coaches to do, if you're not living the 4 vital behaviors, you will forever struggle in this business and you will be incapable of achieving the goals you set and the time you want if you're not doing the things we have to do. So he told us, bring it back to the basics. Do not apologize for who you are. He said, you do not apologize for being a red because you are intense and your team is full of blues. You maintain who you are at a respectable level, and own who you are. Own your story. Tell your other coaches and challengers, own who they are, and don't be afraid to share that. I still get nervous talking about what happened and being open because it's hard for my family to see it on Facebook too. It's hard, but they now understand that when they see those comments, they see those people reaching out to me, they understand that what we do as coaches serves a bigger purpose than a challenge pack purchase. I do this business because I love it and I want to inspire other people because I know what it feels like to give up. I also know what it feels like to come out swinging, and there's always a reason to keep moving forward. It's what I teach my coaches. So my change, how I did it, my action steps for you or for your coaches that are struggling, I had to learn to respect this business. I did not. I'm a traveling therapist. I'm a successful traveling therapist with a very long profile. What that means is being a traveler, every single assignment rates you. They talk about you and your skills. Mine is extensive. I work very hard, but I didn't in this business. If I had to work later at work and I had to miss a power hour or my business hours didn't happen, it didn't faze me. I just kept doing what I needed to do. I didn't respect this business. And so I teach my coaches now, my new coaches, that if you set business hours, you have to respect those hours. And regardless of what your friends are doing or what you think you need to be doing, I sacrifice those things and I get my business hours done. I've invested in trainings. It's something that I really find beneficial, is that I'm blessed with the team that I'm on and they do tons of sharing. But I had to learn how to do Facebook ads. I had to learn a business page. I had to learn to be proactive. So when your coaches who are draining you and ask you 5,000 questions and they're bringing you down, don't let them. Realize that your business has to be 80% you, 20% them. Because if we're not setting the standard, if we're not hitting Success Club, how can we ask our coaches to do those things? So I invested in trainings. I dove into personal development. If you have a coach that's struggling right now, if it's struggling in posting, if it's struggling in mindset, if it's struggling with their transformation, help them by finding a personal development book or podcast that resonates with their at. Meet them where they are at. It's easy for us as leaders and people that have been in this business for a while to say it's worth it. But if they're struggling and they don't understand their why, or they don't respect the business, or they don't understand our mission statement, help them. Get them back to the basics. Get them back to their 4 vital behaviors. Because when I went back to the basics, this business didn't become easy, but it became something that was just a routine for me. I know what to do to be successful, but it's how we implement what we learn that will enable us to truly actually have success. And I'd never stop showing up. That's something I teach my coaches. I tend to find a lot of people in my organization, a lot of my challengers who have had life situations. It's because I have too. And I tend to attract those people. And I tell them on our hardest days, still get that workout in. Because working out for me, dropping to my knees, sweating for everything, was honestly the thing that saved my sanity last year. My family didn't understand it for a while. They didn't get how I could be working out when here we are getting ready to go to another funeral. And they had to understand that for me, it's honestly hits me on a spiritual level. Working out for me gives me sanity. It is my therapy. It has saved my life. And so if your challengers are struggling, they're not where they're at, or your coaches, I always tell my coaches, are you doing a program start to finish? Are you posting about that program start to finish? You have to always treat yourself as a challenger. You always have to remain those same key things that we learned in the beginning. So you should always be consistently posting about a program. Core to Force is an amazing opportunity because you can document your whole transformation start to finish. And that is what they need. So if they fall off the wagon, I tell them, today is day one. You start again. If you've fallen off the wagon, go back to your program that you're doing. Start again. Meet you where you're at. It's okay if things change. It's okay when life happens. You just can't give up. And the last couple things, I've always made team calls a priority. Honestly, it's a really nice thing for me being a traveler because I'm away from everybody I know. There's no family, there's nothing here. And so team calls for me, it's honestly like a community meeting. It's my friends. It's awesome. But when I'm on a team call, I'm on a team call. My phone is off. All of my notifications turn off. All websites go down, and I listen and I focus. And I teach my coaches that too. You will see the people in the first 30 days of your business coach training if they'll be successful, if they show up, if they comment on posts, and if they attend your team meetings. If they don't make it a priority, if you don't set the precedent that this is a meeting and that they should be at this meeting, then they're not going to do it. It's going to be that thing where we drag them and we drag them and we feel like we want this for them. But if they don't treat it like it's a priority, they won't be successful in this business. Honestly, Success Club, you hear me say it, and it used to drive me nuts because I would be like, oh, all the Success Club, these numbers. But it is non-negotiable. It's a foundation for our business. If we're not changing lives, then what are we doing? So I just learned, honestly, to stop apologizing for who I am. If your coaches are afraid to post, if they're nervous about what people are thinking, I always help them with personal development because honestly, who cares? In my opinion, what I am doing and what this organization is doing supersedes anything that anyone has to say. Their opinions don't pay our bills. They don't know what we're going through, and they don't realize the value in what we're doing if we don't let them. So my call to action always for new coaches is honestly to take risks. If you win, you'll be happy. If you lose, you'll be wise. I have learned so much this year from failing and having to be forced to learn how hard life can be, but it forces you to learn what you're possible of. And this picture on the left, because of my being open this last year, especially with my best friend passing away from cancer, she always had us respect her girls, as she called them. She died from metastatic breast cancer. There's a whole organization called Metaviva Metastatic Breast Cancer I had never heard about. And she promised us when she was passing away that we would continue to help her girls. So it's really cool now is that by being open, by being honest about my business and my struggles, I've been continually asked by other organizations, by other charities and cancer research projects to make baskets to help them with their raffles. And when they're doing the foundations for people that are currently struggling, they always ask me to make a basket. And it's so simple, but I think it's so cool that these businesses, these people that are fighting for their lives, they see what we're doing and they know that it can help other people and they want us there. They want our presence there. So I had to make like an official card. I had to just kind of step out of my comfort zone and do this and put my name out there and respect the fact that I do own a business and people may say what they want to say and they can question what we do as coaches, and that's fine. But in my heart, I know this is right. I know what we're doing as coaches is truly life-changing. And honestly, if you're failing in this business, you're never failing unless you give up. You always fail forward. You just keep pushing. You don't stop. And you can do this. That's what my coaches have instilled in us. And it's something I'm starting to instill in my new coaches because honestly, I know what it's like to want to give up. And I am that coach that didn't build this business, didn't want to be a business builder, didn't respect this business. But those kind of like those leads, we're skeptical if they don't respond. Who knows where they might be at in a year from now? For me, this is going to be my future. This is something I'm pushing for to be my full-time job in a year. This is something that I'm going to leave traveling for because I love it and it gives me passion. So don't give up on those coaches or challengers that are falling by the wayside. Bring them back. Bring them back to day one. Don't give up on them. Don't let them exhaust you. I never asked questions. I just kept hitting Success Club. I wouldn't bother Val. I would never say anything. I would never ask for help. I just knew that I at least had to hit Success Club. So help them find where they're struggling at, get them back to square one, and help instill the vital behaviors in them because they'll still be here in a year if you just don't give up on them. That's it.
Holy smokes, girlfriend. Microphone drop. That was unbelievable. Holy cow. I was getting chills like the whole time. It reminded me of that call of that National Wake Up Call that Teresa Hansen, where she talked about how she had to step back from business and think, okay, so what is the difference between the coaches who like go through like deaths in the family and like divorces and losing of the jobs and like sicknesses and all that kind of stuff? She's like, what are the difference between those coaches who that happens to and they fell forward, they keep moving, they keep pushing forward, they don't give up, or the ones that those things happen to and they do give up? And she's like, it's that they have a vision. They have a vision. They know they know where they want to go. They know where they're going, and they just keep pushing. Gina, that was amazing. Seriously, I have chills all over. I even got them in my cheeks. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I'm not your typical coach, and I was ashamed of it for a very long time. I am from a very successful team, and it's a beautiful thing. I love seeing what my friends are doing, but I have to realize that's not me, and I didn't want this business. I didn't want this business until this year. And so, yes, I've been a coach for 2 years, and everyone's like, oh, so like you must be like what, like super high up, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm a diamond coach. I'm still here. Like, you have to just respect where you're at. And honestly, comparison is the thief of joy, and it stole my joy a lot on Thursdays when I was going through that time. Don't let it. As long as you don't give up and you're honestly doing this with credibility, you will get there when you're supposed to get there. It's a hard lesson I had to learn, but it's worth it. It truly is worth it. We have another traveling therapist. That's so exciting. People always are like, what are you doing with your life? And I'm like, I don't know.